Setting up your meeting. So the Zoom says we're streaming live, and then Facebook's.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we're streaming live. There's always this delay, right? So you're never quite sure. There we go. Okay, we are on live. I just want to make sure I mute it. It's buffering. Okay, welcome to the Fab Money Ladies. Today is Tuesday, and I have with me the lovely Tamara Perlic. She is a real estate agent with Century 21. She's been with them for 9 years. And today we're going to talk a little bit about the real estate market. I know people are concerned about what's happening in the housing market and the prices, and whether now's a good time to buy or sell, or what's going on. So we thought we'd come on and chat a little bit about it. So we have a few people on watching us already and saying hi. So Tamara, you're a mom and a wife, and you're still working as I am, Essential Services. So what's your work life look like these days?
Oh, wow, I'm glad you asked. So I normally have an office in our office on Bayfield Street. And so now I'm a wife, I'm a mother and a stepmom. So I have an adult stepson that lives here, and he's started his career. So he's working from his office upstairs, and my husband's here as well, and my daughter. So my daughter's in grade 7. And so we're trying to navigate, getting up in the morning, and I do work, lots of Zoom calls, lots of client meetings using this lovely platform, which is amazing, and connecting on social media. And then, and my daughter has her class, and then we have to navigate some homeschooling homework in there. So yeah, there's no real schedule right now. It's just fitting in what we have to do when we have to do it. But it's amazing actually how busy the days are. I'm surprised actually.
So how has, the whole social isolation and COVID-19, how has that changed the way you do your job? Obviously, the whole concept of open houses and house showings,
Oh yeah,
that's changed considerably, right?
yeah. And I think it's been really interesting because when this first happened, and it was like everybody was sort of shocked, and I'm really impressed at how many industries are really stepping up to the plate and adapting to this new environment that we're in right now. Yeah, so the first couple of weeks was a little iffy, and people were very nervous, I think. But as this is going on, and we've got lots of solutions, people are I feel that they're more comfortable to move forward. So I've had, for instance, I've had some buyers that were looking before this happened, and now because we've implemented, there are virtual open houses. So right now we're not allowed to do open houses as per our governing body. So a virtual open house we can offer to our sellers, and it's where the agent would go in and set up sort of a Facebook event and have a live open house during a certain time. And so a lot of shopping has been done online. And then I did show a house the other day to a couple who we did all our research before and looked at it as much as possible, and then did do the physical walkthrough using all the precautions just so they could get in there. And yeah, and we put an offer in and they got it. So it's going really well. I'm really impressed with how the industry has adapted.
So people are still allowed, if they're serious about wanting to put an offer on a house, they're still allowed to physically go through the house and see it in person, right?
They are. So we have trouble. It's hard to get in for tenants are not allowing us in, obviously. So rentals are difficult. However, in purchasing, it depends. The seller has total control over that. So someone who lists their house, they can decide if they would like people to come through or not. And you may wonder, why would they list their house if they didn't want people to come through? But sometimes they're asking that all the due diligence is done before, look as much as possible. And sometimes they're asking for an accepted offer prior on the condition of going through.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just so they don't have people just browsing. We don't want to increase any risk that way.
Kickers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no tire kickers.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's interesting with the rental side or the investment side. So
Mhm.
I guess that would have really caused that particular market to come to a bit of a halt or slow down quite considerably.
That's what I'm seeing myself. Just because there's no, I mean, unless if a person is buying an investment property that is vacant, vacant on possession, then we can show it easily. It's just there are laws that we can't put out the tenants, obviously, put them at increased risk just to sell the home. So vacant possession is very doable right now as well because
Yeah.
we can get tenants.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess unfortunately, with the timing of how this all happened, we were just getting geared up for the spring
Oh
market.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so, have you seen that? I know going into this, we were dealing with quite a shortage of listings on the market,
Mhm.
right? I'm guessing that's still pretty much the case.
Yeah, it is. And in the beginning too, the way that this year was starting to look a little bit like 2017, if you remember, and we had a crazy market where things were selling way above asking price, and it actually caused more harm than good, really. And it took some time to recover from that. Um, so we're in a very balanced market, and someone just asked me actually, and we had over the last 30 days, and I wrote it down here. There have been 131 sales in the last 30 days. So I mean, people are purchasing, homes are selling, and what's interesting about that is there's also no change. It's still selling in the 97, 98% of asking. So at this point, we've seen it's not the spring market that we were expecting, that it was revving up to be, but my personal belief, and based on a lot of things that I've been reading, is that, the real estate market is always, that seems to be sort of the strongest market. It's in my opinion, one of the best investments, obviously. And, and I'm just seeing that we're going to come out of this stronger. And I think that our spring market is just going to be maybe moved to fall.
Yeah. Well, and you and I were talking about a little bit about this before, and I mean, it feels more like just a pause button, right? As
Yes.
opposed to it's come to a screeching halt and it's never going to recover.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things with the Canadian market is that the government supports the real estate market so strongly in this
Mm-hmm.
country. They've put so many initiatives in place to help people make the rent payments, to help make sure that the banks can allow people to do the deferrals. And they're doing so much more in the background to support the liquidity of the banks. So I know in my profession, in my opinion anyway, I don't think the government will allow the real estate market to have any kind of hard landing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I guess depending on how long this continues, but are you of sort of the same opinion?
I am. I don't think, I was listening to a podcast and it was comparing the 2008 issue that was had. Oh my goodness, my phone is ringing. Um, sorry, after in 2008 when there was a bit of a recession, and I'm not sure what happened here. I've lost you here somewhere, but I think you can still see me. In 2008, and then afterwards, what came back really strong was the real estate market. I think that especially now when you think we have to be safe at home right now, and the home has become even more important in my opinion. I mean, this is where our safety net is, right? I'm feeling really confident about the real estate market, and I was hesitant to say that because I didn't want to say things that were just too positive. That I mean, we really don't know. Like hindsight is always 2020, but I think we're very safe, and we haven't seen anybody freaking out. And that pause button. So those people that were paused, or maybe still are paused, that don't have a desperate need to move or do anything at this time, they're just kind of waiting. And as we see numbers start to decline and things start to get a little bit back to normal, there's just a sense of ease and comfort in that, I think.
Well, and I mean, you brought up the 2008
Mm-hmm.
recession, and I think the comparable. I mean, that's the last time that the real estate market really took a major dive. But we're in such a different situation now than we were in before. You know, and there was so many financial issues that happened in the background of the 2008 correction, and more so south of the border than up here, right? But you know, we've seen on the mortgage side that there's been so many regulations and so many new policies and procedures put into place since that time to really protect the market. So I don't think we'll ever see that same kind of correction that we did back then.
It's interesting that you said that, because in 2008, like, we learned so much, especially from south of the border, right? We learned a lot from them, and we were able to implement in especially the financing industry, then the mortgage industry. And people, they were so upset about some of those rules, right? But it's really worked to protect all of us. And I think you made a valid point there, that we're in a good position. We're protected.
Well, and interesting, I mean, I like the comment that you made where we were getting into a very hot market where we were seeing multiple offers and houses selling over listing. And I'm getting the impression from what you're saying that, you know, the pricing hasn't really changed, but the demand has mellowed to the point where there's not that same frenzy, right? Which is a good thing, really, because I think that kind of situation, which is a big part of what caused the real estate values to go up so much in 2016.
Mm-hmm. You know, and that was really scary. And as much as you think, oh yeah, I want to sell my house for $100,000 more than it's worth, somebody still has to pay that, though. So that means that somebody had to pay $100,000 more. So I don't know if, and also that person selling is likely buying for a premium. So I don't know if anyone wins in that, really. I mean, obviously people do win who are selling an investment property. It's just, at the end of the day, market value is what someone's willing to pay and what someone's willing to sell for. And it's probably best if we keep that at a regular, normalized level.
Yeah.
For the good of everybody, plus the economy, right?
Well, and I think what we see in real estate is, as an investment, I mean, whether it's your home or whether it's a rental property or whatever, real estate consistently increases in value over the long run, 2 to 3% a year, right? Yeah. We have seen times in the past, you know, 2016 being a prime example, where, you know, the demand just went through the roof and the pricing went crazy, but that corrected pretty quickly. And I think, but generally, you know, over a long period of time, that 2 to 3% increase is standard and expectable.
Mm-hmm. You know what also is interesting is that when we're talking about going into this season at a really high demand and multiple offers and things like that, is that, now I'm going to lose my train of thought. So worst thing that can happen, but is that I would have expected during this period that homes that are on the market would be in more of a desperate position to sell, and that they would be selling for less. But I'm loving that it is right. So although the demand has decreased and the supply's there, that's still at a nice level. So nobody's desperate for anything. And so I guess my message is there's a whole bunch of possibilities, like to sell the house. If someone wants to sell their home because they're moving for work, or if they just want to have that liquidity, or someone's going to a retirement home, who knows? Some people this is a fine time to sell, and that we can do so many things virtually. And that brings up the point too of virtual staging, which is the coolest thing. And, you know, we can have photography taken of a home and put other furniture in, which is just, you know, not that their furniture is bad, but just to stage it. Yeah. To decrease the physical, you know, the risk really of having more people in your home.
We do have a question on the chat. So one of our Fab Money ladies, Debbie Gilbert, is asking if either one of us know about the status of appraisals. So, I mean, I can speak to that from the mortgage side. I know that many appraisers are not physically going into homes now, but they're getting creative. So what they'll do is a lot of the appraisal is background research, right? They're looking at comparables and what's sold in the area, and they can pull a lot of information on your home from different sources. So the square footage and how many bedrooms it has, they have access to that information without really physically going into the house. And then what a lot of appraisers are doing is they're getting the homeowner on the phone, and they're having them walk them through it virtually, right? Okay, I need you to measure your master bedroom, or can you take a picture of this room for me? So there's a lot of collaboration going on there. And one of the concerns when all of this first started happening is a lot of our lenders were putting on the brakes and saying, no, 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 if the appraiser is not physically going in the house, we're not going to accept it. And that's eased quite a bit. So a lot of our lenders now have gone on board with, e-signings and virtual appraisals. And are you seeing the same thing from your end, like appraisers and inspectors?
Yeah, and it used to be that they barely ever went in the house, the appraisers. That like
Pretty much just to take
7, 8 years. Yeah, they used to just ask for the picture from the listing and then do all their research afterwards. But I guess that depends. That's what the lender needs, right? So things change with that, because I think, again, the 2017 craziness said, well, we don't want to put a mortgage on your house and it's not worth that, right? But so we are seeing that. We're seeing a lot less appraisers needing to go in, but we're still doing home inspections. And yeah, if the seller will allow us to do it, we're doing it, and we're just using all the social distancing practices. And for a home inspection, I have to be there as the agent with the home inspector. The home buyers don't have to be there, and they get a full report after. So it's up to everybody, their level of safety and how comfortable they feel, but there's solutions for all of it.
Yeah, awesome.
Kind of got off track there.
No, well, we were just asking questions. So, I guess succinctly, yes, lenders are fully on board with virtual appraisals. Appraisers are working with the homeowners basically to get the pictures and the measurements they need, and they're still being done. So
I think lawyers too are electronically signing now too. And it's amazing, all these industries that were kind of like not wanting the electronic signatures. Like, I mean, you can buy a house with electronic signatures, but you can't buy a life insurance policy, but all of those industries are also incorporating a lot of this stuff, which is awesome.
Well, and that was a big thing on the lending side, right? Because a lot of our lenders did not want to take virtual signatures. And at that point in time, the lawyers were still meeting people face to face, right? But that's been a big shift in our industry is the ability to do the e-signatures. And I mean, we still do Zoom calls with the client. We still walk through all the documentation.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how much of these changes are going to stick and how much of the old way we go back to. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, already the real estate industry is a little ahead of the game in that department. However, using these Zoom calls and stuff, this is a great way to have meetings with people. I don't think it should replace, being physically with other people. Otherwise, we'll all become kind of reclusive. But this is
teachers, right?
Yeah, but it's a great way to implement things, especially, business to business. If you just want to have a coffee with a business owner, a quick Zoom meeting before you head out for your day, that's beautiful, right? Very, I'm really enjoying all of the innovation that every industry is showing, but, they might clamp back a little bit on some of that stuff later. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I can see from our end, I don't know whether the electronic signatures will stick or not. I know most of us are hoping that it does, especially when the lawyers go back to meeting the clients face to face. I mean, I think as long as a professional has met visually with the client and taken ID and done all of the due diligence there, maybe a little bit of overkill to make sure that, okay, well, the real estate agent has to, and the mortgage agent has to, and the lawyer has to, and so
yeah, exactly.
In a lot of ways, it's made us more efficient.
Yeah. This entire period has just spoken to resilience, and people in business, parents, teachers, everybody, and it warms my heart in this really weird way. But I'm really impressed with what everybody's doing.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. We don't have any other questions from the chat. So do you have anything else you'd like to add as far as your industry? What's going on?
No, but well, maybe I've spoken to a few clients who have wanted just because some people have some job insecurity right now and they're not completely, they're not settled. You know, everybody's in a different position right now. And if they do own a home, what I'm doing for my clients right now is we can do a Zoom meeting as well. And sometimes they'll walk me around their house and then I can give them a report just so they know where they're sitting in that moment to just for a little reassurance if they had to do something, what they could do just in their back pocket. So I say, so my message to everybody is use your professionals, like your financial advisor, your mortgage agent, like use us because we're all just here for each other right now. And the more knowledge that everyone has, the better off we all are. So.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And I think that, you know, even if you want to hold off and make sure that, you know, your job's safe and your income secure and wait a few months before you make that decision, it doesn't hurt to sit down with your real estate professional or your mortgage professional right now and just make sure that you're positioned in the best way you can be when that time comes, right?
Absolutely.
There are things that you can be doing to your house right now while you're stuck in it, you know, to make sure that when it comes time to sell it, you're positioned as best as possible.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because I'm not 100% sure about your industry, but I know in mine, it's as though my clients are scared to talk to me before, you know, because they're thinking, I think I may want to move, but they know that when they talk to me, they're going to want to move more. So I just encourage, like, don't just call me when you want to move. Like, you know, there's a service all through, like from purchase till you sell again, right?
Yeah.
So speak to your professionals.
Yeah, totally agree. Great. Thank you so much for joining me, Tamara.
Thank you, Brenda.
If there is any other questions that come up on the chat afterwards, we have a lot of people that watch the lives later on and not necessarily while we're on. So I will tag you in any questions that come up and we'll
happy to answer.
Commenting on the live.
Great. Thank you so much.
Great
Have a great day.
Thanks. You too.
Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for everybody for tuning in.